where international experts on outsourcing and shared services will gather today in Nairobi at the Laika Hotel for the Rockefeller Foundation Forum, and we'll have representatives from over 200 non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and development agencies who will be able to learn how to increase the efficiency of their operations through the use of outsourcing and shared services. Our guest today is one of the speakers. He is the CEO of NetHope, and he's Dr. William Bradley. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
What are some of the opportunities when we come to BPO, the business processing outsourcing? What are some of the opportunities in Kenya?
In Kenya, we're working on a number of opportunities. One is procurement. It's very critical that we base a lot of the procurement for East Africa and beyond, actually all of sub-Saharan Africa here. So we're working on a plan to be able to do more and more of that here. That's just one example.
Yes.
There are many.
Yes, and I can see that the conference today will be a really big conference. A lot of people are interested in Kenya. What is making investors interested in Kenya?
Yes, well, first of all, of course, Kenya is a rich, and all of East Africa, if you include Ethiopia, you've got 200 million people. So it's a strategic part of Africa and of the world, an emerging market in the world. That's one. The other is with the cable coming in, the fiber coming in, you eventually, when all four cables come in, will have 4.8 terabytes of data coming up to your shores, and that should in turn impact the entire country economically and socially.
Yes, it's interesting that you mentioned the undersea cable, and how is that going to change business in Kenya?
Well, I would want to say it's going to be transformative.
Yes.
Now, I've had a number of years of experience, so there's always hiccups and there's always challenges and adjustments to it. But overall, I think over time, you'll see a tremendous positive impact on the country of Kenya and beyond.
Yes, you've had a lot of experience, as you just said.
Yes.
How does Kenya compare to other developing countries?
Well, it reminds me of Singapore, Hong Kong, the so-called Asia Tigers.
The Tigers,
really? Yeah, it does. I worked for years in international businesses, and most of my career before coming with NetHope. And it reminds me of those days when I would travel in those countries, Thailand and Hong Kong and so forth. And I feel the same way here, economically, in terms of opportunity.
Yeah. And how do we compare, for example, to the Asian Tigers? How far are we, and do we have the potential to get to where some countries like China are at the moment?
Well, it's hard for me to say definitively, or anyone to say probably, but my hypothesis is that Kenya in particular is a very well-educated population, very articulate population, very motivated, energetic population. People want to get ahead and have an impact. There's also an international point of view. Kenya is not an isolated country for the most part in terms of perspective. So you're open to ideas and the flow of ideas, and I think with the breakthroughs in technology and bringing the internet in, information can be dispersed and exchanged globally very fast through social networks and other means. So I think you're at a ripe opportunity to leverage all of that, particularly as the bandwidth comes in, you can get more access.
Yes, we will catch up more with the interview to find out a little bit more about today's conference. But first, let's have a look at the financial markets, where the Kenya shilling rose slightly against the US dollar at the opening of markets, but moved in different directions versus the other two world majors. The home currency gained 5 cents against the greenback, changing hands at 77.85 buying and 78.03 selling. The shilling, however, is slightly later during the trading session as the market started the budget to see what direction the spending plan may take in terms of implementation against the pound sterling. The shilling, however, eased 51 cents, with the British unit posted at 126.92, 127.23. The shilling was trading 26 cents of Monday's opening levels versus the euro at 107.69, 107.96. At the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the upward trend in share prices gathered momentum, with only 3 of the day's active stocks recording marginal losses. The NSE 20 share index rose 42.76 points, while the comprehensive NSE All Share Index added 0.84 points. The total market value of shareholders' wealth at the bourse increased by 9.7 billion shillings. Safaricom, Equity Bank, KCB, and Mumia Sugar were the most active stocks. The biggest price gainers included Car and General, rising 10%, Crown Badger adding 4.76%, Kenya Airways edging 4.55% higher, and Bamburi Cement closing the day at 4 cents stronger. The biggest and only three price losing stocks were Jubilee Insurance shaving off 0.81%, Diamond Trust Bank easing 0.71%, and NIC Bank down 0.67%. Well, the INEC cable has brought in a lot of excitement. We're seeing a lot of people talking about ICT. But today we are talking about BPO, which is, there is a conference being held today. And in the studio today is one of the speakers who will be talking at the conference today. And his name is Dr. William Bradley. He is the CEO of Network. Earlier, we're talking a little bit about what BPO means for Kenya and what are some of the opportunities, but I do want to find out now what's going to happen at the conference today. What should we expect from today's conference?
I think it's very exciting. You have a very eclectic, broad-based set of groups, cunning speakers. Rockefeller Foundation, as we mentioned, is underwriting the conference, one of the prime sponsors. There are others as well. And you've got very interesting perspectives, both NGOs, nonprofits that work in Kenya and beyond, commercial perspectives and other government perspectives that will bring a nice, what we might call an ecosystem of partners working on this topic.
Yes, the BPO brings in something else a bit interesting, outsourcing.
Yes.
What are the advantages of outsourcing? How, for example, do you convince companies or CEOs to outsource for services?
Well, first of all, there has to be a solid business proposition. There has to be value. The key is there value to your organization, and if you're partnering to the partner, there has to be incentives. You don't just do it because, and certainly any business person, either in a commercial situation or someone in an NGO or nonprofit, they're taking risk by outsourcing. So there has to also be a plan to mitigate that risk, to show that it's safe and trustworthy partner as you're going to be working with that organization. And I think in Kenya we're building up that capability.
Yes. And what are some of the value additional advantages that BPO can bring into a business?
Well, I think in particular you can build capacity, particularly the NGOs. It may or may not be actual cost savings. There may be some, there may not be any, but rather you get greater capability. So for example, if you have a help desk that supports a staff, if you can get, instead of just a 6-hour-a-day help desk, you can get 24/7, 365.
Yes.
You can build capacity. You get greater productivity out of your people. So those are a lot of the advantages. Yes, there are cost advantages and economies of scale.
Yes.
But I think productivity, quality, and capacity are some of the biggest advantages.
Yes. Today's conference is in particular for NGOs. Why NGOs?
Well, NGOs are rather very large segment within the overall marketplace in Kenya and all of East Africa. And so there's a particular opportunity here with D-Fiber coming in and with the presence of the NGOs to leverage that in terms of working together. In the NETHO context, which is a consortium of 26 international NGOs, 20 of those are based here. They're international, the Red Cross, World Vision, Oxfam, and so forth. But they have 20 of them are here. So if we can start to pool those resources and concentrate the effort, I think we can have a real impact.
Yes, I know you will be giving a talk today about it. I don't know if you're a bit nervous, but I know you will be giving a talk today. Give us some highlights of what you will be talking about.
Yeah, I think first of all, there's an overall vision of where this could take us. And I believe, and so does the Rockefeller Foundation, other organizations that are supportive of NETHO, Microsoft, Cisco, and others, that this can be truly, as I said earlier, transformative to the NGO sector itself, making it much more effective and much more efficient and much more productive over time. So that's the grand vision. And we have 26 organizations that are in 180 countries around the world and have in total $33 billion of annual program revenue coming into those organizations and 350,000 people in those 26 large NGOs. So if you put all that together and you think, how can we leverage all of that in Kenya and around the world That's critical. And so that's our grand vision. Then, as we bring it down here locally, we believe that East Africa, and in particular Kenya, can be a strategic location to make that happen in the emerging markets. And this is a key place for that.
Yes. Thank you very much for
You're
joining
welcome.
us today.
Thank you very much.
Let's catch up now with more business stories where the Kenyan Tourism Product